All right. Hello all together, all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people who managed to come to my talk, and also hi to everyone who might be watching from the big old internet. Uh, okay. Yeah. Sure. I don't know. Now I'm extremely loud. Fair enough. Um, first, let's do a quick introduction of myself for those who are not familiar with me. I'm Jacob. I've been working at the lovely company called Kid Concept since over 6 years already, which is has gone really quick for my taste. And during my time there, I've worked on a wide array of different projects. Mostly, or basically all of them, were with Plone and Volto. Um, and it happened more as an accident that for quite a few projects, I was always responsible to do the career part of the website. So where companies try to find new employees, so on. And I thought might be a good idea now that I've worked on several of those sites or sub-sites, to give a few case studies uh, of each of them to kind of showcase what variety there is in this rather specific type of website, and also what are the similarities, what did I encounter quite often. um, yeah. So let's start with a general overview. So the use cases I chose are all quite different in many regards, but also have some core similarities. It ranges from purely NGOs who don't really look for employees in the regular sense to there's classic international corporations to research institutions. Um, yeah. So let's start with the first case study, which is Talca Logistics. This is an international logistics company focused on the transportation mostly of chemicals. And they approached us, I think, about 4 or 5 years ago, um, to do a separate website for them that was only focused on the career apps aspect of their company. So that they do have a separate like company website that's more targeted towards clients, and but they also wanted to have a career portal. They approached us with a basically already completely planned out website. So they had a completely fleshed out design. No, 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 no. And also already a system in place, like a recruiting software in place that they use to manage their applications, their applicants, and so on. So what I did then was starting to work on this. This was with very early Volto. I don't know if it was already 1.0 or some alpha. It already had the name Volto. That I remember. It was not Plone React. So requirement was we have this prefabricated design from a design agency, and we also have this recruitment system from where they manage their open job offers. So how we implemented that was rather straightforward. For the design part, we used Volto's customization options and created quite a bunch of new separate blocks, because at the time Volto had about 5 blocks, I think, and that was not quite in line with what they required. For getting and displaying those before mentioned job offers, we use solely the front end to pull them. So I made a small picture of the architecture. we did have a Plone backend for the overall content, and then this recruiting tool. Because the recruiting tool was also hosted in-house under their own domain, it was completely GDPR compliant to just do a cross request to this tool from the front end, pull off all of the job offers in, do the filter logic within the front end, which was all right because we're not talking thousands of job offers, which would have been a performance issue. We're rather talking usually less than 100, which is okay for JavaScript in your browser to do some filtering on. Implementation of that was made actually by the lovely gentleman back there staring at his laptop and who doesn't listen. Yeah, let's see how that looked in action. I have prepared a small demo video of that. How do I play that? Exactly. So as you can see, we have quite a few blocks in there. I think the video block was still vanilla Volto, but pretty much everything else is custom made for them, like the slider here, this thing here as well. At that time, we didn't even have a grid in Volto, so that had to be custom made. And if you then go to the actual page that displayed the jobs, that is just a static view, Volto view that we created. You could then use that filter to filter for whatever you're looking for. And if you click on one job offer, you get to this detailed view. Yep. Which is also a static view. So because all the data for those job offers was pulled from this external recruiting tool, we had to do it that way. So they couldn't be edited through Volto. Yeah, and if you click on this apply now button, you get to this external recruiting tool where the actual application process would happen. This was actually the first project that I mostly did on my own at Good Concept. So kind of proud to show that off. Next thing is probably one of my favorites here because we're not talking big international companies looking for new employees to potentially exploit, but rather of a German NGO who was offering or already had a website that offers lots of information about volunteering, especially in refugee relief work, but also other volunteering fields of work in Germany. And they also wanted something like a recruitment tool, if you could call it that, but not for paid jobs, but for volunteering jobs. So what we also got from them was a basically pre-made design. Or no, let me remember. No, we did that in-house. Our designer created a design for that. And the requirements there were first that other organizations should have a really low bar of entry to enter their own vacancy. Yeah, you could call it vacancies. I don't know, like their open volunteer positions. And there, so for that we needed a better or another UI for the edit and create form of content. They needed a filter. Then very important requirement was being able to search for something by geolocation because people might move places because they have a better paid job somewhere, but it's rather unlikely that they're going to say, oh, 500 kilometers away, there's this open volunteering position. I'm going to move there. So it was really important that people can look for stuff that's in really their vicinity. And final point was they were already expecting at launch of that service that probably there will not be a lot of organizations even noticing that or putting in any offers. So to make it look not as empty as it actually is, we had the function that if you can't find anything that suits your filter settings, you get similar results from other cities. Even if those might not really be that useful to you, at least the tool looks like, okay, there's stuff going on, and other organizations might step up and put stuff for their cities in there. Let's take also a look how that works in practice. I've prepared another demo video for that. Let's play that. So here you see the overview page that a user who is looking to work in, I don't know, refugee relief in their city. What did I type in there? Okay, I prepared this presentation originally for the German Plone Tagung in Dresden, in Gießen, and therefore my example here is now Gießen. And as you can see, within the 50-kilometer range of Gießen, you can find at least one of such offers. Those offers are actual Plone content types, so we don't have any external systems involved in this. And how they are created, we'll see now. The custom edit and create form that I created for that looks quite different than what you'd see when you create a regular Plone page here. We have usual inputs. They're a bit customized here, an image upload widget, rather straightforward. One of the specialties is this geolocation widget. So you type in a postcode or a city name and you'll get suggestions. And in the end, in the back end, it will save those the related geo coordinates to be then used in the filter. Yeah, then we have some more fields like how much time you should need for that, and what are we here? Yeah, what does the job offer? What do you have to bring, and so on. And when someone submits such an offer, it will not immediately go live. That would be quite stupid, because then all sorts of trolls and people with bad intentions would go there and put in whatever bullshit, especially when we're talking about an organization who's involved with refugee work. There are people who do not like that. So the process here is, as soon as you submit that, that uses the review workflow in Plone. We have a specific reviewer there that then gets notified by email, hey, someone submitted some new volunteering job, and they can review it and put it live. And yeah, that's basically how that works. Let's get to our next use case. The Forschungszentrum Jülich, in English, Jülich Research Center. I think if any of you has seen any of Timo's talks within the last 5 years, you might be familiar with it. It's one of the biggest, even the biggest research institution in Europe, focused originally mostly about physical experiments. By now, they include all sorts of science from all different fields. So recreated a Plone site for them, their main portal, and then they approached us, hey, we want also a career part of the site. Let me take a sip of water. So the requirements here should just be integrated in the general theme of the website, which is good. It means less work. They required a few new blocks in there. And they also had an external recruitment tool. That made things a little bit more difficult, because unlike in the first use case with Talke, that was externally hosted. So we can't just do cross-site requests to that tool from other people's browsers because that's not compliant with European and German data protection laws. How did we circumvent that? So I did create a synchronization script that does run on the backend server that in I think 10-minute intervals also pulls all of the available job offers from that external source, compares them with what we already have, so we don't write, I don't know, 300 new content items to the ZODB every 10 minutes, but rather the idea is I create, or the script creates a hash, a footprint of a job offer, writes that together with a job offer into the database, and when comparing those items, it will just compare those footprints. If anything changed there, we'll rewrite it, patch it, or create a new job offer, and that way we automatically create Plone content items for those job offers on our Plone side. As we've seen with the two use cases before, we also once again had the need to filter for your specific needs for what job you're looking for. So I created a custom endpoint to do that as well, because you could be able to use the query string search endpoint for that, I think. But I think in my case that had some performance issues, so I created a custom one for that. Exactly. Looking at my notes, I remember what I did. I'm using Solr to do the faceted search there, so that is then more performant than just using the normal catalog search in Plone. So for that, I also have a video prepared for you. So demo next. Let's start. There we go. Yeah, first block is a custom block that we made for them. Also, the block with the filters in here. Obviously, that's not something you need on the main portal. In there are different categories. Those are just vocabularies from which you can choose which field of work, which location, what's your entry level, and so on. Hit search, and you'll see this listing of suitable jobs for you. If you click one, you get to the actual content item, which has a custom view made in Volto with all of the information that we earlier synced out of the API of that recruiting tool. And yeah, if you click the Apply Now button, you'll get to an application form that you can fill out if you would like to apply to that job. Next use case. This one's quite a bit different to the other ones in that we also have this external recruiting tool, but we don't really want to fetch any data from that because that external tool just handles all of the listing and so on its own. So we didn't really have the requirement to include it on the main side. This client, let me introduce that as well. The German Aerospace Center, short DLR in German. There, if you would want to sell them really highly, you could say they're German equivalent to NASA, though much smaller. And they had that external recruitment tool that was already on itself able to list all vacancies, so that was not needed to be integrated. But they had the requirement that the career site should be part of the main portal, but have a different feel and touch to it, to look significantly different to the main portal. So to achieve that, we had to come up with some sort of concept. And what we already had was a content type called subsite. A subsite in that case is a content type that acts as a navigation route. So each subsite has its own navigation. It can have its own logo and some more like other corporate design colors. And in the case for the careers portal, we even implemented custom designs for multiple blocks within that subsite. So for example, if you add a teaser block anywhere on the DLR side, it will have one look. And if you add the exact same teaser block within that subsite, it will look quite different, which we will see later. Here we have a screenshot of that subsite. As you can see on the top left, there is a slightly different logo than to the main portal, which has like this small careers thing underneath it, and the navigation obviously is not the main portal's one. To see that in action, I've also prepared a video, so demo now. So we start off at the main portal, and you can use the main navigation to now get to our subsite here, which then has this additional navigation on top, which you can also use to get back to the main portal. And as you can see, the custom navigation for that side. And quite a few blocks that look different to the main portal. For example, this video here. Here you can see the teaser blocks. And also additionally to the main portal, we have this flag on the right side with this little rocket on it to propel you to the actual job office. So if you click that one, you'll have to wait for your network to load the other tool. And there you go. This is then their external recruitment tool with the actual job office. So now I've talked quite a bit about how this looks different to the main portal, but you haven't really seen any blocks from the main portal so far. Therefore, I've prepared a few comparisons. So those are the teaser blocks with how they look on the main side on top, and above, this is the design we came up for the careers portal. Shout out to Dante and I think Alok and Rohit, who are mostly responsible for implementing those in the actual project. We have a slider block in the main portal and also in the career side. And as you can see, those have a significantly different look and feel. And also the video block was significantly reworked. So I think the careers one looks quite more fancy, where the other one's more informational. So in conclusion, I would like to list a few commonalities between all of those projects that I noticed. So usually you have some sort of connection to an external source for those job offers. Not always, but working with APIs is something you do quite often. Pretty much all of them, except the DLR use case, required some sort of search and filter functionality, so people can actually find what jobs they're looking for. And quite often we were working with pre-existing infrastructure. So we had an existing site, and the requirement is, please integrate this career site with that. Be it can just be another Plone page, or as the DLR use case, just needs a completely new theme. Differences here are quite obvious. I think we have quite different target groups between all of those projects. So in the first one, we were mostly talking about lorry drivers, chemical engineers, and other sorts of workers. The second use case was quite different, with volunteer workers who were not there to make a fortune, but rather from an internal motivation to do something. And with the last two use cases, that was mostly tailored to like scientists, engineers, students potentially. So different target groups. Then obviously all of them had quite different, quite obvious visual differences, different themes, and so on. What you have with different websites, they do look different. And different approaches to integration into the main site. So you had the idea like FZJ, just use our theme, create maybe one or two additional blocks, but don't differ from the main site theme too much. With DLR, as I just explained, we had the complete opposite. We need it to be integrated into the site, but with its own reworked theme. And then we have use cases like Talca, where they just wanted a separate site that was completely unrelated to their main portal. We had different APIs when it comes to talking to those external recruitment tools. So all of them spoke some sort of JSON variation, but there's no catch-it-all solution. So there's no specification that says, okay, job offers of all recruitment tools need to look like this. No, no catch-it-all solution for that. And different requirements on performance depending on how many items we're actually talking. So with use cases like Talca, where it's or the volunteering finder, you'd have less than 100 usually, while with the FZJ use case, performance was actually an issue because we were talking hundreds to thousands of vacancies or potential vacancies there. Yeah. Challenges that I noticed is, you have to work with quite a few different APIs there. They, as mentioned, speak different sorts of dialects of JSON. You need high performance infrastructure like an FZJ sometimes. And if you need to integrate with an existing site, you have the technical challenge and also a bit of an organizational challenge, because in those large organizations, it's often different departments who run the recruitment and the public relations, and they might have quite differing ideas on how the website should look, how it should work, who pays for what, because if you build a block there, usually it's available for the whole site, and there might be budgeting conflicts happening. That's usually not my issue to worry about, but if there are conflicts, internal conflicts with the client, that's also not great for the project usually. Yes, that were the points that I identified as potential challenges in those projects. So last thing to say would be obrigado. Thanks for listening. And also time for questions. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions?
Good presentation. I think I lost something about the first picture. You present lost connection with Plone backend. This
one?
what? And a diagram of look. Yes. It's the APIs connections, because the connection Plone backend is not connected, is connected.
It is what I wanted to make clear there is for displaying those job offers, there is no communication with the Plone backend. For the rest of the site, it's still a Plone site. It's still using the Plone REST API like you usually do, but for this specific case, for displaying job offers, there was, as said, only communication with this external recruitment software.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? No? So, thank you.
Thank you.